I'd like to introduce Barbara from England, who has multiple sclerosis. Welcome, Barbara.
Thank you very much, Linda. Nice to talk to you too.
Could you tell me when you first started to notice MS symptoms?
I used to be a 7-a-day sportswoman. Unfortunately, when I was finding that when I was getting hot, my vision would black out. And after a period of time, it would come back. And I used to play indoor cricket. And unfortunately, the ball is yellow. And for some reason, my vision didn't like to pick up yellow. And we just thought, well, we didn't know what it was, but obviously we know now.
Right, so how long did it take from when you first started having symptoms to being diagnosed?
I would say probably maybe a year, 18 months.
Right.
You know, going through all the tests I had. At the time, they didn't have MRI scans, so I had a CAT scan, had a lumbar puncture, and then I had what they call a VER, a visual evoked response test, which is all to do with your vision, and that's how they picked mine up.
And how old were you at the time?
I was diagnosed at 32.
Okay. And what impact did that diagnosis have on you?
At the time, my first symptoms were, I actually woke up one morning. I'd been out running I can remember it very well. I went out running on the Monday evening with my housemate. When I got back, I said, I've got really bad pins and needles in my feet. Thought no more of it, went to bed, woke up the following morning, and I was dead from the neck down. So as you can imagine a bit of a panic set in.
Yes. And
my GP came out to see me. By this time I'd actually changed GPs because my other one told me I got migraine. And she immediately got me to hospital the following day, which happened to be the 14th of February 1989. And I went to see the consultant and he said, yes, you have got MS, and I suggest you go home and learn to live with it.
Oh dear. So how long did it take you to find LDN?
I only found LDN in November last year. So
and
that's 20 years, yeah.
So what was your MS like by that time?
It's been up and down, and I've now gone actually from relapse remitting to secondary progressive. And I've lost the feeling down my left side, which has been for quite a long time now, and I'm getting used to that. But I had a big relapse a couple of years ago, which has now taken my right side. But although it's weak, the right leg is weaker than the left leg, but I can feel the right leg. And so I'm now having to rely on, I have crutches to get from A to B, but any further than about 50 metres, I have to get my chair out now.
So this bit will be edited anyway, but what I'm trying to establish is what your symptoms were actually like before you started LDN. So if you can start by saying before I started LDN.
Right, okay. Before I started with LDN, I was in quite a hell of a lot of neuropathic pain, and my vision was not good, my mobility wasn't very good, and basically, you know, I just felt a wreck. And it did get to the stage on a couple of occasions where the pain was that bad that I was actually feeling suicidal.
That's understandable. So once you started LDN, you know, did you have any initial side effects?
I had no side effects whatsoever.
And what did you notice it did for you?
Well, I started in November last year, and with my charity, I take terminally ill and sick children to Lapland every year. And normally when I've done the 3 trips, I have to have about 2 or 3 weeks off because I'm so shattered and fatigued. So, but I did find that in December last year, I got through 4 trips, and I went back to work within a couple of weeks. And I actually do the work voluntary. I'm not a paid person. But and then since then, I mean, here we are now in May, and I noticed that I was on morphine, and I had to wean myself off that.
Mm-hmm.
Then once that I'd stopped that, I then started on the LDN, but I was also on other neuropathic painkillers as well. And in March, things were going so well. I wrote to my consultant at the pain clinic and said, I feel now that you can discharge me. I've completely stopped every medication that you prescribed me for my neuropathic pain. I'm now on LDN.
Mm-hmm.
I have no more neuropathic pain. I have no fatigue. And I noticed recently I usually have a very bad heat intolerance. And I noticed recently that I'd been out in the garden for the whole weekend when we had that lovely hot weather,
Mm-hmm.
without any adverse effect at all. And it's an absolute pleasure to wake up in the morning.
Mm-hmm. And who prescribed the LDN for you? Did your own GP, or did you have to get a private prescription?
No, my GP very kindly backed me, and she said as long as the pain consultant was happy for me to try it. And she very kindly, on a monthly basis, writes me out the prescription. I send it up to Scotland, and they send it back by recorded delivery.
Oh, brilliant. That really is
I've
good.
been extremely lucky.
I mean, how would you say the quality of your life has changed?
My quality of life, it's as if, the way I explained it to my consultant, that it's given me my life back. That's how strong I feel about it.
That is really good news, isn't it? What would you say?
Fantastic.
What would you say to other people with MS who are contemplating trying LDN?
I would say go for it. Absolutely, no matter how you've got to get it, because in fact I'm doing a talk next week to an MS group, because they've heard, because I was in the paper recently, they heard about it and asked me to go in and talk to them about it. And so that's, and I'm saying to everybody, push for it, and the response that some people are still getting is that the GPs are saying no. Even our neurologists here are still saying no, because they say that it's not licensed in England, which, fair enough, but they don't seem to be taking on board what the patient actually is asking for.
Well, any doctor...
It costs, for what it costs, it's ludicrous.
But as you know, any doctor can prescribe it if they think it's of benefit, what they call off-label on a named patient basis. So you're one of the lucky ones with your doctor, which is...
Oh, God, yeah. I mean, she's marvellous. She really is.
Fantastic. Well, long may your success continue, Barbara.